watershed evaluation and watershed management plan. This is called implementation of best management practice, called BMP, and maintenance of watershed parameter and model. This is key, 5 key components associated with this program. And I think you guys know, the topography like you use for your model, your work, the DEM, the area photo, and the ground truthing data. So this is a fundamental data for our program. With this data, we can look at a particular watershed. We all know what a watershed about, right? So, so we can evaluate, when we are starting evaluate a watershed, we look at, what kind of data we have, and what kind of, how complex this watershed. What kind of soil, land cover, and population, and we're going to develop a model. We need to understand if we have sufficient data or not, or we need to collect more, or send the staff to the field, do the field recon. So once this evaluation complete, we start using the data and to develop the surface water model. So this model will support to plan the watershed. And because you have rainfall, could be rain 5 inch, it could be rain 10 inch, right? And so what if the watershed there's some structure change? So all this information, all this change will affect your modeling results, and also will affect, like you asking, the flooding. So we will know where it's flooded, how much the water depth, right? If it will have any damage to the resident or not. So the model become a tool to help answer all these questions in terms of watershed management plan. And also we identify, what kind of practice we call the best management practice, BMP, is more efficient to, help the public to reduce the damage because of flood. So, so this, once we identify what would be efficient BMPs, we'll start, implementing it to the watershed. It could be a structure, we build bigger covers, right? To improve the, the road elevation. This is like a more structural type of BMP. But you can do sometime with the damage too big, just change a couple of covers or build a new weir. You know what is weir, right? WER on that. So sometimes we will do a non-structure, we just spend maybe $1 million just buy out that piece of land, and people move away, and we offer them, better place to live, and so the district will own that land, or the county will own land. So in that case, that's another way to, to help out with the flood damage. And like we all know, the time change and everything change. Within a watershed, your data change, you have a new development or older development, So this change all will affect the watershed parameter and, of course, the model too. The model based on the data, right? You have a more, some new community developed. So before it was bare soil, but now it's concrete covered space. So that will change the hydrology. So in that case, you need to, maintain the kind of tracking the records and maintain the information. And sometime later, you need to come back to update the model again, because this information will affect before this area get inundated or flooded, right? But after some more improvement, it's become safer. And so this information very important. So that's why in the beginning I said this is a continuous process, because over time you need to revisit, if the model still correct or efficient or up to date. So you have to, that's just a continual work. And this is the pen I brought here. It's the same thing. If you have any questions, let me know. It's because it's a little probably complicated. All right. So from what I taught, you will find it out. I start talking about the model, and so model definitely is a very important tool for our watershed management program, because it answers what if scenario. What if this happened, how that would affect the flooding, the damage, and so the model give us a tool to give us some results based on each different scenario, and also the model give us give us a method to how to evaluate different strategies. That we call the BMP, best management practice, and how efficient they are. And also model we can use to produce floodplain map. The DFIRM is called the Digital Flood Information Read Map. That's a FEMA. I'm not sure you guys have Dr. Wang have a house, so he knows that if you in the future soon you will run into I need to buy a property, so you need to find it out am I safe? I'm living in a safe area or not? So you can go to FEMA to download the flood map and in your area and find it out. If that's definitely something you need to consider. And our job, we use a model to generate this floodplain map, and after going through all the process, finally reach to FEMA, and FEMA review it. And also we need to have a public meetings to let the resident look. Well, we predict your house in a flood zone. Sometimes they don't agree with us. They said, no, I never see flood in the last 30 years. So that's just we have to be accurate, so as much as possible, because things change over time, right? So in our district, so far we already have over 130 surface water models developed and being developed. So development is already done, already approved by our governing board, and some of it already being adopted by FEMA, and some is just still in the process. So
how frequently the floodplain maps updated?
Well, not that frequent.
Okay.
It all depends on. Sometime, as I know, actually we have this program, the flood map, from about probably a little over 10 years ago. Depending on the complexity of the watershed, sometimes because of collecting the data will take a long time, and also get improved each time, step by step, it will take a long time too. I know that some of it will take several years, and some. I would say on average probably 5-6 years too. But that means that every 5-6 years we'll update again. It depends on their request. Yeah.
Because that means the work, right? Every time you update.
Yeah, and also based on if we have a fund or we have money or not, right? Because this work is not totally done by our district. Usually we work with the county where the watershed associated with. So our district will contribute, almost 50% of fund. The county, local government, they will take care of the rest.
Maybe the consulting firm do the modeling, or the district do the modeling.
Mostly it's by the consultant.
The consultant.
Yeah, because they are, they have more people, and they are on the track of the schedule. Our district, we review their work. Sometimes the review work we don't have enough manpower, so we'll contract out, ask another group of consultants to review the first consultant work.
So is that much free?
Huh?
Is that free?
Yes, it is free. And also our district have this map too. You can go to our website. If you want something, call them. They will send you a hard copy, or you can download the digital form too. So I already introduced how important the modeling application in our section. We do surface water model, but that's the only portion of the modeling application in our district. And in terms of water resource management in our district, I can give you more example here how the model being applied universally throughout our district. I'm not sure you guys familiar with the minimum flow and the levels somehow. Do you? You do. I just see you're not. You're familiar, right? So for this guy, you're not familiar. Minimum flow and level basically is a threshold, and it's or limits for river and lakes or wetlands. For river, we use the minimum flow, and if you're below that limit, so the harm will occur for the water body and the associated environment. So the Florida legislation asks each district to create the criteria for the all the water body, and so for each major river right now, our district still in the progress. So some of the river already have their minimum flow and levels, and not just the river and the lakes and the wetland, but some is still undergoing. So now the concept minimum flow and levels, right? And also we need to use a model to evaluate what kind of water resource we have, because we have a response to provide the water to the industry, resident use, and we need to know how much we have. Can we offer how much we can offer, permit them, because our district job is decide how much we can use. Cannot take the water from ground as much as we can, because that cause some problem, right? And so this will also comes to use a model to to regulate how much they can take at what time. It's another whole yard for in terms of regulation. And also we need a model to operate the structure. District we have 81 structures for the entire district. So the structure we're talking about like you may saw like a gated structure, and they lift it up down, so the water will decide when the water keep in a reservoir or in a lake, and how much it can be distributed to the river or some wherever needed. So this operation needed to be predicted or controlled by the operator, but the operator have to follow some guidelines. So the model will give the tool to develop the guideline. So that's something I'm going to talk about later at the end of my presentation. Well, I guess okay, go.
I have one question. Actually, how the district define the minimum flow and minimum level?
Minimum flow and level? Wow, this is a big question. Actually, modeling? Okay. For a river, usually you need 40-50 years data, because our weather every year different. We have a hydrological cycle. Some year you have more flow, some year you have less flow. That's natural process, right? So you have to basically you use a high-cross model because it depends on the specific river. Some river have a really good records, like they have the USGS gauge installed in a different key location. So you have 40-50 years data, but sometimes you don't. You only have intermittent data. Some years you missing data, but you have to find a way. You will use statistic method to kind of infill the data, where you have a gap for a month or a year. So use some kind of relation with the groundwater level or with the other nearby gauge or something. Somehow, Dr. Wang knows better. And fill it up and generate 40-50 years data, give you more, cover the entire hydrological condition, right? So high-cross model usually is a tool to use from my observation, because I did some of the work when I was in a consultant, and so you have to create they call the baseline condition for a river, and assuming river without a significant impact, what's the baseline? Assuming under natural condition, how the river, what's the high flow, low flow. Usually they use a different, statistics like 10%, 50%. This kind of statistics are defined, because the river is not just a minimum flow. You also need to maintain a high flow too. That's a natural process, right?
When teaching in the class, I tell students, so the peak flow is not bad, it's good. Okay, the flood is good, because I give it the example.
Yeah, you need a flood sometimes.
I give the example to students, said, if I feed you bread every day, do you like it?
Right. Because that's when they call it minimum flow, but when really start work on that, you need a range of flow from low to high. But it's probably beyond that. I can tell you in a short time. If you're interested, we have a section, the entire section they are working on this. the minimum flow and level, and they have a lot of modeling, but mostly HSPF and high class is the major model associated.
Actually, my research topic was base flow analysis for stream flow and spring flow. So, like sometimes, like base flow is used as a minimum flow. So that's actually I want to know that in real case, actually, in water management district, like how they do. So
Oh, you mean how they develop the base flow?
No. It's okay. I got my answer actually.
Okay. You sure? All right. Since I started here, right? The modeling type I listed here. I think you guys probably pretty much familiar with this and the hydrological model, hydraulics, hydrodynamic, or integrate, right? Or could be combined, combination of this, depending on what you are going to do, what's your target. We are going to talk about. The target could be for our district. Your modeling could be very simple, just like one structure in the water body. You need to know how much flow goes through this structure, so you know how much you release. And this is actually have a gate, up, down. You can manually control it, or you can sit in the office. You have a remote control. So it could be very complicated, as complex as like a large watershed with an area like several hundred square miles. With the river inside, with all kinds of structures, and with many houses, roads, and this is actually ICPR model. I copied it from someone. And so for the tool, really, I think we already talked about, probably you are familiar with this. You could use the existing modeling software. In our district, we have a HSPF. We simulate the watershed and the surface runoff. And ICPR, are you familiar with this? No? Okay. So ICPR actually is developed in a company in Orlando. It graduated from
UCF.
Yeah, UCF. And this is a major tool actually we use in our section for the flood modeling called the surface water model. But the recent version come out, they have a groundwater simulation function as well. Then IAHR is a free software from Army Corps, and like I just said, we use this tool for minimum flow and a level, that kind of project. This Mike by DHI is an integrated model. I used 2 years ago when I was simuling some of the lakes, and this is a very comprehensive model. Have a lot of functions. EFDC, not sure if you have ever heard it or not. It's the estuary, basically for 3D hydrodynamic simulation for the estuary river. But very often we still found, the existing software is not enough to answer all our questions. We still need to write some code and to build a customized model. It depends on what kind of programmer you are, and some people like, oh, I'm going to use SAS. Some people say, oh, I'm going to use Visual Basic. Most people think, oh, this is Fortran, because the Fortran is very, well-known mathematical computing language, right? So when I started, first time I learned the computer language, that's Fortran when I was in college, but still we're using it nowadays, right? Any questions so far?
So do you, in your district, do you have like coastal modeling, like using Earthquake model, this type of like coastal ocean hydrodynamic model?
You mean this kind of?
In your district, like yeah.
Yeah. Yes. We this EFDC is EPA. I think it's
like
EPA.
Storm surge modeling. Do in district? You do storm surge modeling?
You mean the like a tsunami or something?
Yeah, something like hurricane storm surge modeling in your district, because still you're in the Gulf of Mexico, right? The Tampa.
You mean the tide
influence? Yeah.
Okay. See, this model you have that component. It's basically simulated, the water flow, depth, and also the salinity, because that's usually when you're near the coast, you have the higher salt concentration, right? And also our district have our own model. The Dr.
Oh, I see.
Xinjiang.
Okay, I got it.
He's the expert actually. He's very concentrated on the estuary river hydrodynamics. Yeah,
His office is
in Tampa.
Tampa.
Yeah, he used Fortran and he actually read his own because his PhD dissertation is about this. He graduated University of Florida and after he graduated he got a job in our district. He's been working on it all in the last 20-some years. Yeah, he developed quite a few models for different rivers. And this is a free software and you know sometimes the district prefer uses different options to kind of evaluate how it depends on sometimes depend on you know the needs. Not all the model can do everything, right? So okay. So we are going to move to next half of my presentation. I'm going to give you a modeling application example. It's about operation modeling for the Upper Peace River in Florida. That's one of the major project work I have been doing last 2 years. And so I want to tell you something about the background and why we need an operation model and how the model was developed and how this model is going to be used and what would be our future efforts. So I'm not sure you guys familiar with the Peace River. If you go, no, you're new to you work in the this area actually very close to our the south end of our district boundary. This is Charlotte Harbor, and the Orlando is somewhere here, right? And this is Polk County, and this river starting from Polk County run about 120 miles and run into the ocean at Charlotte County, and you see I highlighted this part, and this is the zoom in of that part, and because it's easier to see from Bartow and to Zopho Spring, you see the river stretch like this, and we call it the Upper Peace River because it's only portion of the entire river. So you would see at Bartow that the upstream end of this river is you know you have the 2 watersheds, you know, have the flow concentrate run into this location. One is I didn't label it here. It's Lake Hancock watershed, and this is a creek called the Saddle Creek, and another one is Peace Creek watershed. This one. So these 2 watersheds really have the water feeding this, you know, the Peace River or Upper Peace River at Bartow. So why I'm particularly focused on this part because in the past, I look at some of our document past probably 150 some years. There are a lot of phosphor mining in this area, and also the surface water and groundwater withdrawal, you know, for our daily life, for industrial use. You know, over the years, all this happening, so it caused a problem now, and so this river now experience some really low or no flow in the really dry season. For example, when we move into like April, May, you know, in Florida, it's a very typical dry season. So the river is dry. So you would think how what would happen? You don't have river, the fish will die, right? And also, you may not know this Lake Hancock is very well known for bad water quality because the phosphor finding. So, you know, so the nitrogen concentration in the lake water pretty high. Because this is you know, part of the headwater feeding the Upper Peace River. So the water quality, you know, the Lake Hancock is a major contribute to the, you know, the better water quality for the river. And because the low flow and you know, the high concentration of nutrients, so you can see the ecosystem in this river would be bad too, right? So the district, you know, saw the problem and So in 2002, the district initiated a project and to start doing the minimum flow and level and for the Upper Peace River from Bartle and Zofu Spring. And it come up with a number like 17 CFS here and 45 CFS here. That's a minimum flow we need to maintain. But based on the current conditions, we observe, this it doesn't work. It's very often it didn't achieve the minimum flow. So this is a problem we are dealing with right now. You follow me? All right.
So for the 17 or 45 CFS, so that means you try to reach the target 100% or 90% of the
good
time?
point. Yeah. So this 17%, 70 CFS here and 45 CFS here. That means if we achieve our target, 95% of time a year, we need to have a flow at this location with a flow rate 17 CFS and higher, right? You can figure 95%, that means only 18 days you can below that.
So that means
that's very high.
That means your minimum flow is determined by the exceedance probability,
yeah, based on the statistic and I talked with him about 40, 50 some years.
Number you use. Okay.
Yes. So they did a minimum flow, their project for this stretch of river. So after some high-cross model and some low-level hydrological analysis, they come with a number. So the board approved. That's a target we're going to achieve in, I believe, probably 2025. Right. But right now the river, doesn't achieve that. It's still dry and sometimes there's no flow. But something I didn't talk about because there's some sinks along this river as well. You know the sinkhole, right? So it's leaking. But we don't want to go touch that topic today. And so for this situation, and so our district started two projects. One is called the Lake Hancock Modification Project. The other one called Outflow Treatment Wetland Project. Just when I talk about it, I mentioned the Lake Hancock as one of the, contributor to the Upper Peace River and, the water from the, Lake Hancock discharge into the Upper Peace River through this downstream creek. Probably I already mentioned the Saddle Creek called, and Upper Peace River here. And so there's a structure called the P11, and the lake, release the water from this structure. The structure control how much and when, the flow rate or flow will come out from here. And also this project basically led us to build a new wetland here called the treatment wetland. And it's in the east side of this P11 structure, and you see this. But this wetland was built on the average elevation is higher than the lake, so the water cannot go naturally flow into this wetland. Have to use a pump. If you look at this zoom in picture, there's a station here, pump station. So water will come to the wetlands through from the lake to a wetland, and you see there's different cells. So the water will come in and run through the cell. Also, there's some structure between the cells, and eventually will be released back to this creek. And this creek is this one. So, both, you can see now, the water from the lake, one path goes through the P11, the hydraulic structure, and then another path goes through this wetland. And, they merge then through this creek and feeding the Upper Peace River. You follow my, you follow me, right? Understand how this system works. And so then you put, here is the overall picture for this area taken in January 2014. If you looking east, so here's the lake, and this is Saddle Creek run downstream, and this is a P11 structure, and this is a wetland. And the pump station here take water from the lake to to the cells, two cells, and then the water gradually moving into the third of cell and then eventually get back to the river. That's I hope you understand this